of government. We said capitalism may be defined as a political, social, and economic system in which all or most means of production and distribution are owned and controlled by private individuals, in which the economic activity of the government is at a minimum. In this type of economic system, private individuals play greater role than the government in taking decisions on how to produce. Private individuals who have the economic ability participate in all sectors of the economy. In a real sense, the pure market capitalist economy characterized by the private ownership of all the means of production and distribution of goods and services. Nearly all the so-called first or developed nations of the world, such as Japan, North America, Israel, etc., adopted free or capitalist political economic system. In these countries, profit is the main motive for either the private or the state participation in the production of goods and services. So when you look at capitalism, it is an economic or political system wherein the production of these goods and services or the distribution of these goods and services is being owned and controlled by private individuals. In other words, the government participation with regards to the production of goods and services is at a minimal rate. In other words, all facets of the economy, it is being controlled by the private sectors. It is being controlled by the capitalists, those who own the means of production of goods and services. So therefore, even the so-called developed countries of the world, they've adopted what we call the free market economy. And the free market economy, everybody has a right to engage in the means of production of goods and services, and also the distribution as well. So if we are talking about the production of goods and services, these goods might be, for instance, engaging in the production of rice, engaging in the production of furniture, engaging in the production of staple food. That is goods. When you talk about services, it could be engaging in health service sector, schools aspects. All of these are services. When we get a situation where in most of the production of these goods and services and even their distributions, they are being owned and controlled by private individuals, then we now refer to that as capitalism. So let's also try to look at the features of capitalism. Now, the features of capitalism as follows. There is private ownership of all the means of production and distribution. Of course, there is a freedom of enterprise that permits private enterprises to operate in a capitalist system. There is also the freedom of choice to consumers, workers, owners of property to buy, work, use whatever they like. Of course, government plays limited role in the production and distribution of means of production. There is domination of labor by capitalists. So these are some of the features or characteristics in a capitalist state. We also want to look at the advantages of capitalism. What are the good things? One, it promotes freedom of enterprise. And also, capitalism encourages rapid economic development. It also encourages hard work because of profit-making tendencies, in as much as everybody is at liberty to set his or her own price, and the motive of the capitalist is to maximize profit. So therefore it encourages hard work because of the profit making tendency. It also promotes quality goods productions. It encourages economic competition and producers and ensure the best for the consumers. It also encourages effective use of talent and skills. These are some of the things. We also want to examine the disadvantages. What has been the argument against capitalism as an economic or political system? One, it leads to individual or private monopoly. There is every tendency that the capitalists can also monopolize the trade system. Then of course it also encourages few rich individuals at the expense of the poor who are in the majority. So sometimes in a capitalist system, mostly what happens is that the few rich people will remain to become richer and the poor remain to become poorer. Of course, there is also inadequate distribution of income because the gap between the rich and the poor will get widened. You also have, in a capitalist economic system, profits are made at all costs at the expense of the consumer. So that is another problem with capitalism. As far as the capitalists are concerned, their motive is to maximize profit, so they can make profit at all costs, even at the expense of the consumers. Then of course, capitalism encourages exploitation of many people by few privileged individuals in the country. That is another problem with capitalism. Those capitalists have the tendency of exploiting the poor, because in as much as it's a free market economy, everybody is at liberty to set his or her own price, and that is more the reason in a capitalist system there is no market control, because the market itself is being controlled by the capitalists. So they determine when, how, and how to produce. So at the end of the day, it is going to be exploitations, huge exploitations against the poor. That is the problem with capitalism. Let's look at the comparison of capitalism and socialism. One, socialism, it is owned by the state, whereas capitalism, it is owned by private individuals. Then also in capitalism, economy is not centrally planned, but permit free market economy, while in socialism, economy is centrally planned. Socialism ensures the welfare of citizens, while the main aim is profit maximizations in capitalism. So the socialist system is to maximize the welfare of the citizen, whereas the capitalists, their motive is to maximize profit. Then also political power is decentralized in capitalism, but in socialism political power is centralized. Also in capitalism, economic power controls political power, while in socialism political powers controls economic power. In the actual sense, in a capitalist system, in as much as the production of goods and services is being owned and controlled by private individuals, so they control the economic power, they control the political power, because these are the people who are in possession of the economic power. So they control the political power, they control the state. But whereas in socialism, in as much as the production of goods and services is owned and controlled by the state, so therefore the political power controls the economic power. It is the state that controls the economic power, because it is the state that owns the means of production of goods and services. And also there is economic equality among individuals in socialism. We don't talk about stratification of society in a socialist system, whereas in capitalism there are different classes of individuals. We have the upper class, the middle class, and the lower class. So there is a huge stratification of society in a capitalist system as compared to that of socialism. In other words, everybody is equal and people work towards the development of that particular community. But that is not in the case of capitalism, because it caters